Hey guys, so let's talk about computer science and software development and the difference between the two. So let's get into it. This is a reoccurring thing. I got a question, a very good question from one of my viewers where basically he said, okay, Fredrik, should we use Golang or something like that to teach computer science? And then he was mentioning that, we don't really have classes and inheritance in Go. So that might be a problem for teaching computer science. And so I stopped him basically, and I wanted to make this video to kind of address this. I'm going to make a two-parter. This is going to be one of it. The other one is going to be more about like how do you teach kids and like the different age groups of kids programming basically. But this one we're going to start defining some things, because I think that a lot of beginners, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but it seems to me that my definition of what computer science is very different from what everybody what especially usually I don't have this discussion with my own colleagues. Like my definition of computer science and software development, there's a difference, and everybody I talk to basic in the professional world are fairly on the same same page on where that distinction actually goes. And I wanted to share this with you in case this is a bit of a question mark thing for you. So computer science is not software development, or rather it's not traditional software development. There's a very big difference between software development and what computers, like if you are a programmer, you are not necessarily a computer scientist. If you are a computer scientist, that doesn't mean that you can sit down and build the stuff that I build every single day, because there's a massive difference in what you actually do in your daily job and what you're going to be good at. So computer science, if we define that, it's actually the study of computational problems. It's the field that you study in order to be able to learn algorithms that solve certain, at the very basic level, you're going to learn things such as sorting algorithms, big O notations. You're going to learn memory management, maybe, depending on how much, the scope of your course. But every single computer science, and I'm saying specifically computer science course I've ever taken, has very little to do with like software development that, as you know it, as we professionals do it every single day. It has to do with algorithms, specific algorithms that are named algorithms for the most part for specific types of problems, and how to reason and think about structuring effective algorithms basically. It's computer science is further into the theory of things than it is into actually into like solving, like really writing code in the same way as programmers do every single day. I like to make the distinction as it's basically, it's so tricky because you try to just follow me here. Just because you use programming to do the thing you're doing, that doesn't mean that it is the same thing. So a computer scientist uses programming to solve problems, but they are not focusing on solving the same type of issues. Their education background may not be the same. It's actually funny because most of the computer scientists that I like, purebred computer scientists that I've seen and I've talked to, they are geniuses in mathematics, statistics. Like they're very theoretical, very academically inclined and extremely intelligent. But the software that they write isn't all that high quality. The algorithms that they figure out and like actually building the thing, some of them are really talented, but most of them don't have, they don't really spend, like they don't work as just regular software developers. That's at least my experience. And then that goes for me as well. I mean, sure, I can sit down and implement a very basic like search algorithm or stuff like, because I've taken computer science courses, but I'm not a computer scientist. Just because I can program doesn't mean that I can do what they do. To give you a really good example, I was at a job interview at Stena Line basically here, which is a company here in Sweden that, it's a ferry company basically. And they have an entire department of computer scientists, and they actually make that distinction. They have their computer science department, and then they have their software developer department. I was in the software developer department, or I was talking to them for a job about that, because what their computer scientists are focusing on is basically one of the most core things that they look at is to figure out an algorithm that mathematically calculates the perfect price for each ticket for everybody who wants to get on the ferry. Because that's an extremely complicated algorithm. It's a very big problem to solve, and it's a very lucrative. It's the same thing in the flight industry, like airlines and so forth. They have computer scientists who sit every day and figure out how to price every seat for every flight to maximize their gain. But they have software developers to build the web pages, all the systems, like everything else, like everything around that. The computer scientist is focusing on solving usually one or two extremely hard problems. It's only now here at my company where I actually get the chance to, for the first time in my career, to work on a computer scientist type of problem. We're doing basically interval detection and subscription detection, where we have a really long list of transaction information and we need to create an algorithm that figures out if something is a subscription or not. And that's exactly the type of problem a computer scientist is solving. So what does this mean in education terms? Well, it means that learning computer science will teach you coding and computer science algorithms, but it will not make you a purebred software developer. It will help you. But trust me, just because you studied to be a computer scientist doesn't mean that you are going to be a great software developer. Software developers, I mean, my personal education was aimed towards becoming a software developer. That means that we studied things that are relevant to a software developer, and that is not search algorithms and big O notations and all that stuff. I did that on my own time because I find it fascinating. But and so that it's important to know that there is a difference between a software developer and a computer scientist. So what I'm saying to you now is that computer science is an excellent way to learn problem solving and get some really in-depth academic knowledge about solving complicated problems. And I absolutely urge you, if you're interested, take a look at it. But if you're looking to become a programmer, or like just do this every day as a job, don't think that that's the only way to get there. Because if you can write code and you can, there's so many things that are much more important in my everyday job and most other programmers' everyday job as well, than knowing how to implement a memoization algorithm or a greedy algorithm or bread or the different search algorithms. That doesn't even come into my daily job. And I've been working for a few years, and my colleagues are the same way. I mean, this is not everyday stuff. It's a very specific thing that a computer scientist is hired to do. Think of it as being a mathematician. A mathematician is usually hired for a very specific reason, or a statistical analysis person. And that's the main difference. A software developer is this generic type of person that you can throw at almost every problem, but when you need a very complicated type of problem to be solved, that's when you go and get yourself a computer scientist, in general terms. So to give you some type of final thought on this, I would tell you that you have to, when you talk about computer science, you have to understand that there's a difference between that and just programming. So be clear about what you're talking about, because if you're talking about software development, that's, as I said, to me and to as far as me and my coworkers and so forth, that's a little bit different from what a purebred computer scientist is all about, like computer science. So hopefully this was useful to you, and I hope you have a great day.